Hello, I'm Tim Gordon with your weekly recap. We'll be catching you up on some of the biggest stories of the week. That includes why a group of teachers in Vancouver called out sick this week. Plus, why Senator Ron Wyden is pushing the federal government to release a wildlife plan. And a preview of a soon-to-open food cart pod that claims to be the largest in the United States. In our top story this week, we've confirmed Friday a U.S. Coast Guard rescue swimmer out of Astoria has died. Tyler Jaggers died in the hospital after getting injured during a medical evacuation about 140 miles off the Washington coast. The Coast Guard says Jaggers was trying to evacuate a person who was having a stroke on a cargo ship last Friday. Jaggers was first taken to a hospital in British Columbia before being transported to a medical center at Joint Base Lewis McChord while on life support. Earlier this week, the Coast Guard Rescue Swimmers Association said, quote, "Tyler is our brother. He answered a calling that few possess the courage, the strength, or the heart to pursue." The Coast Guard has not released further details about the accident. On Thursday, a jury found a Clackamas County man guilty of killing his estranged wife. A judge also sentenced 72-year-old Michael Fournier to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. And back in November of 2024, Fournier murdered Susan Lane, who was found dead in Welches near Highway 26. She had been shot 3 times just weeks after Lane had signed divorce papers. Emotions were high as Lane's family and friends listened to the verdict and delivered their victim impact statements. We caught up with Lane's loved ones outside the courthouse.
It's just left a void. I mean, we may not be related by blood, but she was our family, and we got justice for her today.
Fournier was also found guilty of unlawful use of a firearm. Well, check out this shocking video from Lewis County, a traffic camera capturing the moment a car slid down I-5 on its roof in the wrong lane. This happened just before 11 a.m. Tuesday. Washington State Patrol says a 20-year-old driver was running from police before they hit the barrier and flipped into oncoming traffic. Centralia police say the driver was going more than 100 miles an hour. 4 people were taken to the hospital, including a toddler who was in the car but not buckled into a car seat. Luckily, the child was not hurt. Well, teachers at a Vancouver high school called out this week, citing safety concerns. They say the school and district haven't done enough when it comes to a threatening social media account. Alma McCarty has a story.
The principal here at Fort Vancouver High School called Wednesday a unique school day. After several educators called out, subs were called in, and some students spent time in the school's auditorium.
For me, as a parent, I would base it off of the teachers and staff. If they don't feel safe and they're saying on behalf of our kiddos that they don't feel safe, then it's a non-negotiable.
That's why Heather Summerlin says she told her freshman daughter Sophia to head home after learning that a large number of staff members had called out. Some classes, school leaders say, were then combined in larger areas while they waited for the substitutes to arrive. All this after posts circulated online, messages about and altered images of some Fort Vancouver High staff.
Making AI videos of different people, different teachers or staff fighting each other, and with things like that. Yeah, just very off color.
The social media account is crazy. These poor teachers, they go through all this to be nice to these students. And this happens to them for no reason.
KGW was unable to review the account independently since, as of Wednesday afternoon, it appears to have been deleted. According to the Columbian, the page showed Fort teachers inserted into videos, some with political or sexual references.
It's really scary. Having to be a teacher and go through that, I don't think I could imagine it, to be honest.
Vancouver Public Schools sent a message to families Tuesday saying they've become aware of the account, along with comments referencing a school assembly that they've since postponed. Officials said the posts were reported both to Instagram and to law enforcement as soon as they were brought to their attention. Vancouver police haven't identified the account poster and said there is no known threat. The union said that these teachers, acting of their own volition, called out, motivated by what they perceive to be a chronic lack of response by school and district administration to serious concerns regarding safety for staff and students.
It very well could be a student, and if it is, just honestly, I just hope that you can get better and that you can apologize to these teachers for what you've done.
In Vancouver, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
A developing story out of southeast Portland, where a Trader Joe's was suddenly closed Wednesday night after a public complaint led to the discovery of asbestos. Someone complained about seeing black dust in the store during renovations. A second test confirmed asbestos in the adhesive used in old exposed flooring. DEQ says the concentrations are low and should likely not cause any health concerns.
We will want to see those post-cleanup work sample results before to verify that that work was effective before they reopen that store. So we are investigating this matter, and we will investigate further as to how this occurred. But it's too early to tell if, like, for example, if any violations may be issued.
Trader Joe's is now hiring a contractor to decontaminate the store. In an update this week, a federal judge set November 2nd as a trial date for Blazers coach Chauncey Billups in a rigged poker games case. Billups was arrested last October, hours after the team's home opener. The FBI alleges he participated in poker games run by New York mafia families. Prosecutors may offer plea deals to 12 of more than 30 defendants, but it's unclear if Billups is included. His legal team has not commented. An Oregon couple faces more than 400 animal neglect charges after authorities seized hundreds of goats from their dairy farm in eastern Oregon. Tanya and Aaron Barr had 236 goats seized by authorities last month from their property in Malheur County. While deputies seized the goats, they still belong to the Barrs. The animals are being cared for at facilities in California, and we're told they're already doing better. Well, the state is one step closer to providing $365 million worth of improvements for the Moda Center. The state legislature passed a bill this week in an effort to keep the Blazers in town for at least the next 2 decades. The funding comes with conditions. The NBA must approve the sale of the Blazers. The city of Portland and Multnomah County must make their own financial commitments. And the team must sign a lease for at least 2 decades. The Blazers would also be responsible for any cost overruns on the project. Lawmakers say these safeguards will protect taxpayers.
How do we, at the end of the day, protect Oregon taxpayers to ensure that this investment is one that is wise? I believe we did that.
The bill now goes to the governor's office for her signature. The entire state is facing lower than normal snowpack right now. That's why Senator Ron Wyden is pressing the Trump administration to take action now to prevent wildfires this summer. Wyden is asking the administration to release its plan of action for fire season by the first day of spring, that's March 20th, specifically on how it intends to make up for Forest Service layoffs and budget cuts and protect Oregon communities during a potentially catastrophic fire season. Because, as one hydrologist told us, we are facing serious deficits with this year's snow drought. Experts say it's the worst it's been in more than a decade. He says there's still a chance things could turn around in spring. For those living and farming east of the Cascades, they face a greatest risk.
The agricultural sector will be significantly impacted by the lack of snowpack, but also when we consider fire season, certainly less available moisture for vegetation and for the soil can also prove to be detrimental.
If folks at home weigh in with their elected officials and say, look, we are looking at record low snowpack and Forest Service layoffs and budget cuts and all of these concerns that I've outlined, I think we can make a difference.
Hydrologists say low snowpack does not guarantee a bad fire season, but it definitely increases the chances. Well, fear of seeking medical care due to immigration enforcement has slowed or stopped some people from seeking help. Now, legislation to remove that fear has made it through the Oregon Senate and House and is headed to the governor's desk for her signature. Celine Stevens has more.
Senate Bill 1570, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Senate Bill 1570, also known as the Healthcare Without Fear Act, would create clear boundaries revolving around when hospitals can share personal information related to immigration or citizenship status.
It adopts written policies on how to interact with law enforcement if the law enforcement were to enter a hospital or healthcare facility. And it just also identifies like who is the main person, who are the main people who are going to be responding to a situation like that when it comes to healthcare workers.
One case that instantly came to mind for Representative Ricky Ruiz was that of the Crespo Gonzalez family, who were detained for weeks with their child while taking her to Adventist Health.
They were seeking emergency medical care for their 7-year-old daughter, and it gets swooped up by 3 unmarked vehicles. I think this is all in response to several cases across the state of Oregon that we've seen federal enforcement agents dropping off patients or roaming around the hospitals, and honestly creating an unsafe environment for patients and people who are seeking medical care.
2 people were also shot by a U.S. Border Patrol agent in January in the parking lot of Adventist Health Primary Care, although they were said to be Venezuelan gang members by the Department of Homeland Security. Ruiz says he's felt this bill was needed for a while.
For me, it was right after President Trump removed the safe spaces, and there was no question that we had predicted we're going to see federal law enforcement in near schools, near hospitals, near churches, near areas that are supposed to be protected.
The bill also requiring protections for healthcare workers who protect patients.
Having protections in place is reassuring. It provides also some feelings of safety and also feelings of empowerment that, I can provide education to my patients on their constitutional rights.
Christian Mendoza Ruvalcaba is a part of the Oregon Nurses Association.
Fear of immigration is, already occurring in our communities. Having this in place also makes the community members feel more secure to come to the hospitals.
And while there would be exceptions for immigration enforcement, it would be limited.
If there is no specific reason for why federal agents are seeking information of patients who are in a hospital or a healthcare facility, then we should be able to have rules and regulations on ensuring we're protecting that information.
KGW reached out to Republicans for comment Wednesday on the bill, but no one was available to speak. The bill now goes to Governor Tina Kotek's desk.
Hospitals are meant to be safe places to receive care. They're not meant to be places of immigration enforcement.
In Salem, Celine Stevens, KGW News.
Oregon is joining a number of other states in suing the Trump administration over its latest round of tariffs. This comes just 2 weeks after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down tariffs the administration previously put in place using emergency powers. The administration quickly pivoted, announcing a 15% tariff on much of the world under Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. Now Oregon, along with 23 other states, is suing the Trump administration over the use of this law. One business owner told us she hopes this newest round of tariffs will not only get blocked, but that her business will get a refund for the higher costs that she's experienced over the past year.
We've paid extra already for the product we have in store. And so it'd be nice to see some relief on that, and then we could give some relief to our customers.
President Trump does have other avenues to implement tariffs, even if this latest attempt gets blocked. He used the Section 301 of the same 1974 Trade Act to implement tariffs on China in his first term in office, and those tariffs remain in place. In Portland business news, city leaders say they are now looking into ways to provide some relief to local business owners struggling with the highest business tax rate in the nation. Next week, council will vote on raising the city's business license tax exemption from $50,000 to $75,000 this year and $100,000 next year. If it passes, more than 4,000 startups and small businesses could see about $1.3 million in tax relief starting this year. It's supported by the Portland Metro Chamber.
And what it does is it puts money back into brick and mortar small businesses so that they can retain their employees, invest in their stores, and grow our economy.
There's a lot of programs that they seem to be implementing, but it's really hard to figure out like where they are, what they are, and how to get them, and all the paperwork. And as a small business owner, like I don't have somebody who is just a liaison with the city.
This week, a new report outlined how Portland can further support its small businesses and storefronts. That includes tracking why businesses choose to leave, improving response to reports of crime and vandalism, cleaning sidewalks and increasing street lighting, and investing where storefront occupancy is weak. Council accepted these steps on Wednesday.
I don't want to see businesses fail. It's not good for any neighborhood.
In Vancouver, businesses in one of the city's most diverse areas are getting a financial boost. After recent federal immigration enforcement operations, some businesses along 4th Plain Boulevard say some customers are afraid of leaving their homes. One business says their customer base has dropped 70%. So this month, Vancouver City Council approved a $300,000 grant program to help sustain struggling businesses in the city's international district. Each grant has a cap of $10,000.
We're just very thankful of our Latin community and also the Americans that come in because they haven't left us alone.
Businesses in the district do not have to be immigrant-owned to apply, but they do have to meet certain qualifications, including having lost 40% or more in revenue over the past year. Well, new this week, it's being called the largest food cart pod in America, and it could soon open for you to visit as soon as this spring, actually. Right now, Vancouver Station Food Carts off of Southeast 164th Avenue is in its soft opening phase. Jake Holter headed over there to see what all the buzz is about.
Stepping into Vancouver Station, the sheer scale makes it easy to believe its claim to the largest food pod in America.
Live bands, DJs, trivia night, bingo. We're going to have something every night of the week.
The 2-story central hub has a full bar operated by Vancouver Station, but the rest of the venue will be operated by outside businesses, including the interior coffee bar and ice cream parlor.
The concept really came from wanting to bring people together and then also offer an opportunity to entrepreneurs to come in and support their families.
Entrepreneurs like Angela Naranjo, who moved her Boba Blastic franchise cart here to Vancouver Station.
I think it's a good area here, and it has a lot of potential here. I'm excited to see a lot of people here. I'm excited for it to be full, and I'm ready for the sun to be out. Once the sun comes out, I know it's going to be busy here.
Only 8 carts are currently stationed at the station, but Bjornstad says it will be a lot fuller in the coming weeks.
We have more coming in. They're waiting on L&I approval and permitting, which has been a long drawn-out process. Anyone who's tried to open a business in Washington probably knows about this process.
He says most of the spots are spoken for, but there are a few more available. People we spoke to excited to have this new spot in the community.
It's so close by where we live here. It's going to really change Vancouver's complexion, I think.
We see this as being a tremendous asset for families that are visiting the area. Maybe they're here for sporting tournaments, because it gives them a lot of variety. We also see it as a great place for local residents. I mean, I live not too far from here. I'll probably be back for dinner tonight.
Jake Holter, KGW News.
And check this out. When a pricey painting flew off of a car onto Highway 26, the director of an art gallery thought it was gone forever. But it turns out the painting found its way back. River Art Gallery director Marcia Kahn says she bought the painting titled Blue last week. But when she was driving home, that painting flew off her car and right onto the freeway. She saw several cars actually running over it. When Kahn turned around to try and find the painting, it was gone. But 2 days later, she says some friends went back and found it, hiding in the brush along the highway.
I couldn't believe it. It was like a miracle, because I really thought it was gone. And I sort of like the minor imperfections, sort of like as you're aging, you don't have to fix things up. Just let it like it is.
Yeah, she says if you look closely, there are some small cracks, but no tire tracks. It's almost perfect, and there's beauty in that. Now here's your beautiful weather.
I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. I hope you have a great weekend. We're watching a headline that we think is a big headline for dropping snow levels this Sunday night into Monday morning below Cascade Pass level, and then everything will continue to be below the passes for much of next week. So the base before all this begins up at Timberline is setting around 60 inches. So over the weekend for your travel, I don't really see any issues. It's going to be mainly dry Saturday. Sunday, some limited shower precipitation, but that will be rain at Cascade Pass level with a snow level of 5,500 feet. And then it's Sunday night that we drop down to 3,000 and eventually 2,000 feet during the day. And then we stay below pass level, which is 4,000 feet, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe into Thursday. Miles are actually a little bit indecisive past Wednesday. The lowest point looks to be Monday night, Tuesday night, where the snow levels could be down to about 1,500 feet. And if that's the case, we would have potential snow over some of the Coast Range highways, Highway 6 and 26, to get up above 1,000 feet. The snow level numbers that the models are putting out are really big ones. So the update is about 50 inches of Mount Hood. That could be a pass level if that would come true. It shows 56 up at Rainier. By the way, the last time we had a projection of big snows, this was several weeks back, we took a snow level that was around 28% of normal and we jumped it up to 38% of normal. So this time, if we could just add 2 feet, maybe 30 inches of snow next week, this upcoming week, we could get the snow level closer to 50% of normal for the season, which would at least be some good progress. Now, I do want to be clear, we're putting this weather forecast down for you. It's 9:06 currently on Friday morning going into your weekend. And the point is, whenever you watch a weather forecast, it's really important to note when that forecast was laid down because things do change. But this projection of low snow levels and days of heavy mountain snow next week look to be pretty consistent. The flow pattern we've been dealing with over the weekend is a lot of cloudiness coming in. You know, Friday we had just occasional light rain falling. This Saturday should be dry after any early morning mist or drizzle. This shows clearing down to the south, and Portland may or may not show partly sunny skies developing. But even if it's cloudy, I think most of the day Saturday will be dry in the Rose City, and temperatures should get up to about 60. A lot of sunshine to be had across our state, including going over into parts of the gorge and down into Central Oregon. So here are the numbers. A nice dry Saturday, we think, getting up to 60 degrees. It now looks like shower activity on Sunday with a front could be arriving during the morning hours. Of course, we spring forward, clocks forward 1 hour Sunday at 2 a.m. officially. And then the front brings in the dropping snow levels into Monday. Now, we don't get a lot of total precip until rain picks up here in the valley on Tuesday, and then that's pretty wet. Tuesday, Wednesday, into Thursday of the upcoming week.
Thank you, Rod, and that is a wrap of your weekly recap. I'm Tim Gordon. Don't forget, you can catch up on the latest headlines anytime on KGW.com, your KGW app, or our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.